Good evening, everybody. If it's okay, I was going to begin with a quick summary. I think for the sake of making sure everyone knows everybody, we'll go ahead and do introductions again. You want to start? You looked at me first.
Rachel Vassalero, Challenger, K-8.
Andrea Kelleher, Parrott Middle School.
Dustin Kupchak, District Athletic Director.
Dana Blazik, J.D. Floyd, Bargaining Chair.
Lisa Masario, HCTA President.
Kim Hudson, Florida Education Association Service Unit Director.
Patricia Greenwood, HCTA Treasurer.
Jim Enzes, Occupational Therapy, ESE.
Caroline Moakler, Staff Counsel.
Joyce McIntyre, CFO. Alexis Brown, Director of Human Resources.
Barbara Kidder, Assistant Superintendent for Business and Support Operations.
Matt Goldrick, Director of Labor Relations and Professional Standards.
Steve Canale, Executive Director of Support Operations.
Ed LaRose, Principal, Wikiwachi High School.
Mike Lasher, Principal, Eastside Elementary.
Thanks again to all of you for being here tonight. I want to start tonight noting that we are meeting for the 9th time. According to my review, we've met on these dates: August 18th, September 15th and 29th, October 27th, November 12th, December 2nd, January 7th, and February 2nd. So tonight, February 25th, is our 9th meeting, indicating dedication to keep working on reaching an agreement. Prior to today, the two teams met for a bargaining session on Monday, February 2nd of this year. Proposals offered include the $470 from TSIA for teachers returning from the 24 and 25 year and a one-time $700 bonus. This offer also included improvements in degree pay, recognizing the Juris Doctorate, and their standard performance pay of $50 or $100. This makes the increase to an individual base $520 or $570. In addition, the district proposed to create a line item for raises for the first time since steps were removed from the contract, and are committed to offer about $809,000 for the 26-27 school year that would then be added to what the state offers in the TSA money next year additionally, and need to be settled by October. This would do three things: put money in the pockets of instructional employees before the end of the first semester, be in line with decision-making about health insurance, and meet a state deadline. HCTA countered with a $12.50 retention supplement and discussed concerns with the budget line MOU we outlined concerning the October 1st deadline. As noted above, no agreement was reached between the parties, and the HCTA stated an intention to declare impasse at our last meeting. The Hernando Classroom Teachers Association has declared impasse to PERC, which, for everyone's knowledge, is the Public Employees Relations Commission, and the Hernando County School Board is in receipt of the impasse letter from PERC. An additional step was taken by both parties to determine a special magistrate. The two parties collaborated in a process to take a list of 7 from PERC and agree upon one person. That special magistrate has been selected and appointed by PERC, and his name is Thomas Young III. He sent a letter to both parties on February 23rd of this year to outline next steps. I'm sure the union will keep their members updated, and I will continue to send out updates through bulletin board on Teams to update everyone in the district as we continue this process. However, we can continue to meet, as we're doing tonight, and work towards a resolution while simultaneously working through the impasse process. A resolution may make the completion of the impasse process unnecessary. I would like to start a discussion tonight with an updated proposal from Hernando County School Board. It is important to note that we are reallocating money that was for salaries for millage-funded positions that have been vacated or unfilled. These positions represent, let me try that again. They represent about $600,000. It is important for the public and all of you to be aware that this includes unfilled or vacated guardian positions, a couple social worker positions, and athletic trainers. The reassignment of the funds to the teachers means that we will not fill those positions for the remainder of this school year, even if there is a qualified candidate. With these identified funds, we can increase the one-time bonus that would be available to all returning instructional staff from the 2024-25 school year to $1,000. So we'll pass out the proposal for you guys to look at. This is a package proposal, so we'd be looking for the 2 MOUs and the TA to be signed. So we're talking about the TA for the $470 from the TSIA money that will go towards instructional staff salaries, the performance pay of $100 for highly effective and $50 for effective, which makes the addition to the base for the individual actually $520 or $570. Additionally, we also have put the MOU forward for the salary line item in the budget that has been updated. This represents approximately the $809,000 that added to the money given by the State Growth Fund for 26-27, which will start the discussion for next year, those two funds together. Tied into that is an understanding that we will focus on October 1st, 2026 decision-making deadline. This makes a lot of sense when you consider the fact that beyond the state-imposed deadline, we have the annual recurring deadline from open enrollment and considerations for health insurance. To additionally make a point that the district is working collaboratively, there's a plan to offer up to 2 full bargaining days, if needed, and supplying any subs needed in the new year to support time to negotiate agreement. Also, we have updated that MOU tonight. And I think this is important to make sure I describe this, which changes that October 1st deadline from the date for board approval to the date of tentative agreement. Here is that same spreadsheet that you've seen several times, and hopefully we'll see again. There we go. So I've changed, obviously, the bonus column to the 1,000 you can see there. And I have copies of this to give to you guys. Can you pass that to them? And then I've made the point on the end of adding that $50 or $100 in performance pay. did you give out the updated MOU for the budget line item? Thank you.
So just a quick question based on that chart.
Sure.
One of the biggest differences, I think, between our proposal and yours was the fact that while we understand that TSIA does not cover brand-new teachers, our supplement ask did. So at this time, you guys are still not willing to give those new teachers who have been here since August a bonus. This would be one of the only times in my life, in 20 years, I can imagine us not touching a new teacher. Like, they would get nothing. That's just the one thing that's standing out to me the most. Like, I understand the TSIA, we can't control that, that's state money, but the bonus we can control. And they're still not getting anything, so just a clarifying question on why not.
I think because we thought of it as something based on last year, kind of like, you know, they got the evaluation, they got the performance pay. So I think that's why we were thinking about it that way. But if you guys would like to counter with that, we would certainly entertain that. I think it's also important to note that the board has worked hard to examine assigned funds and millage funds where possible to identify ways to offer more. This effort included the health insurance increase this year, coming from the assigned funds leading to an increased board contribution. Our effort also included the initial and ongoing attempt to work towards the union-presented idea of a one-time payment for instructional staff while contending with a stressed budget. As we spend each dollar this way when shoring up funds, there are less dollars at the end of the year to address the increased raises, cost of health care increases, and other fiscal issues as we build the budget for next year. This may indicate a need to cut positions as we go into next year. There will be careful assessment and creative solutions to address potential shortfall, and I just have to note that a stagnant or shrinking student population will continue to stress the issue. Finally, there was also a proposal from HCTA regarding 15.5 hours of preschool being designated for teacher room time. The district counters with taking a post-school day and moving it to preschool. So we would move forward with 6 preschool days and 1 post-school day. Since the calendar was approved for the 26-27 school year, this agreement would change that by making 8-3-26, because we're currently slated to start on 8-4-26, to be the additional preschool day, and making 6-1-27 the only post-school day, 6-1 of 27. So we have that proposal for you as well to consider.
So you're not considering, the issue is protected time during preschool. The issue is in extra days, because that extra day could easily be eaten up with other meetings and directed activities. And I think that was the point of our proposal, is that there needs to be consideration for the work that has to be completed in order for instructional staff to be ready for open houses. So if we are not looking at protecting some of that time, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to move a day that teachers are likely eligible to use AST time, or it's unstructured, because post-school is typically unstructured and dedicated to the work that needs to be done, and then moving it to a place where it could be encumbered by meetings and other things that are not at the teacher's direction. So it's unclear to us how that addresses the issue that we were bringing forward with the proposal.
And the reason we came up with this solution was when we looked at the 5 school days and we had the principals go back and do some work with their teams, and it seemed like there's a lot of things that have to be done. So fitting that all into 5 days was difficult. So the logical step is to add more time there, so that would give that natural teacher time in the classroom. So our focus was finding the time by adding the time.
Do you have some examples of those tasks that have to be done that have to take teacher time during preschool?
Principals, do you want to speak to that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's the answer no one wants to maybe hear, but I think it's individual per school, right? If you have some schools that are pushing towards particular initiatives, whether it be an instructional initiative, there's also a lot of, as we know, state mandates when it comes to, safety, mental health, things along those lines, that we'd like to get some of that done. That way, when we're starting to push into other professional development that's happening throughout a school year, that we know we, by contract, can only meet with teachers once a week. So if we're not going to use that time to get a lot of those things done, then we're really pushing out and losing some time of when we can also meet on a weekly or bi-weekly basis for instructional practices, that now we're meeting for the mental health stuff, the safety initiatives, the things that we have to walk through per statute. So I think that block of time allows us to get that done in a whole group setting, which I honestly think is beneficial for both sometimes, for clarity. So you're not hearing a message from me as well as all three of my assistant principals, you're hearing it from me. I think that helps with clarity, but I also think in the long run it does save time. So that's my answer. I think it's individual based per school, depending upon their SIP goal, depending on their school grade, but also dependent upon their level. Him compared to elementary, compared to me to high school, is going to also have different requirements, as you know.
Yeah, so after looking at all of the different preschool weeks, like Ms. LaRose said, everyone is different. But just give an example for us right now, a lot of my colleagues, as you guys know, we switched to the Leader in Me this year. That Leader in Me did require a full preschool one-day training, which in turn affected the amount of time we needed. So like based on the year, it does change. So that was something that did affect us this year. Usually myself and a lot of my colleagues, we would give our teachers ample time, because like you said, elementary is a little different, to be in those rooms, set up, get ready for open house. However, this year that was less because of that school-wide initiative at most of the sites that were Leader in Me schools this year. So just it changes year to year is I guess what I'm saying.
Well, I guess, and I mean, the other concern with it, and I understand, because we've talked about we've talked before about the 6 preschool days, but we gave a survey, and that survey was huge in response that those teachers needed both post-school days. 50% of people said they went in for all of one, if not both. So that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, and I hear what you're saying, it's different. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I can honestly say at Floyd, for the last 2 principals, we have not had our preschool time eaten, ever. We are lucky. And we are lucky that there's an August half day, because that is why that's why I stood at that podium and got grilled for 5 minutes, actually it was like 15, about half days, because those need to be then used properly, because that is a time for whole staff PD. Right. That shouldn't be eaten during preschool week, because that's what they're for. But I'm going to tell you now, if I asked every principal, all 23 principals, I guarantee they're not being used like that. So the question is, how do we use those more effectively instead of preschool time? Because how many schools are literally giving full school trainings all 4 half days? I think that's a question that needs to go back to principals, no offense, just because we have them and we're arguing to keep them in the calendar. Yes, safety, I get it. We do the safety one too. We're having another safety one on Friday. Yay. But some of those other ones, like the district mandated scaffolding training, we got that done on an August half day. No one needs that in August, right? In August, they need to be ready for parents. I don't know how it works in high school, because I know you guys up until recently didn't have open house during preschool week. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, like we have 6 hours of preschool of open house. That's insane. Yeah, that's insane. 6 hours, parents coming on campus throughout the day, starting from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That to me could be something that's looked at. Like, we don't need, this is the time open house is. You have to make it. Like, we can't spread out all day. It takes a lot of time. But I do think that some of those trainings need to be looked at for those early release days. That's why I stood up there to hopefully keep them. And we've gone from 6 to 4, and I understand why. And I know that we can't take the half days at the end of the semester, and it's a whole nother contract conversation. But, I wish that we would, because it feels weird looking at this and taking a post-school day when almost 700 members, or 700 instructional members, because they weren't just members, actually. That survey went out to members and non-members. over 50% of them say they use those days in shape or form, this would literally be like, we didn't listen to a single thing they said,
Well,
you know?
I was just going to say, it's almost like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like, we need that time. We need it protected, and we need those things, but just taking it from one doesn't necessarily satisfy both parts of it.
Yep.
So, in my perception, you know, over the years I've been in a lot of schools, I think there's a lot more people on campus in a preschool week than there is a post-school days. I would be willing to almost guarantee it, that there's a lot more people on campus on those days. But I wanted to also come on the microphone and say this, that we, as administrators, also value some pockets of time in the preschool week where we're not having to meet with our staff as well. As much as we love having them back, there's also things that are popping up like, oh boy, school's starting on Monday, and we have to get into the weeds and fix things right away. So I think I could speak for the group when it says I don't think that we overly value, for the most part, eating up all that time, because we're also chasing that Monday kickoff as well, you know. So I think that that's a conversation that obviously we're happening right now, but we continue to have that. I think everybody wants that common goal. It's just kind of aligning it and what people are willing to agree to, but we also value that time as well.
I think for me, the concern that we've brought forward is something of a workload concern. And I don't think this proposal addresses that at all. I don't think this proposal, and I don't think that, you know, the workload concerns that the different proposals we brought that represent workload concerns are being seriously considered at all as ways to pivot. In a year where you're offering less for compensation, do more for people's workload. Do more for their day-to-day work. And, you know, that seems to be something that we're not getting much back as far as the proposals that we feel could address that regarding teacher protected time. And I also just need to caution that, you know, as we devalue AST time, because post-school days are days where you could use the entire day as AST if your room isn't being moved, or you're not, or you're done with all your filing and paperwork, you're done maintaining your CUME files depending on your role, everything's all set, you can use time on those days. So the more we eliminate those opportunities, and we don't want people using AST time while students are on campus, then what are you giving people when you're increasing the amount of expectations for them to stay in these after-school events, because that's how we engage families and parents. So we're not right now, because of budgetary concerns, we don't have the same level of grant funding to offer those as paid opportunities currently. So they are being offered or guilted for people to be attending those without compensation. So at this moment, it's like, do we want to continue that those opportunities would be something people feel good about participating in because they are getting something out of it, like I can use this AST time and it is useful to me? Or do we want to start like putting that idea out there to people that, I mean, the idea already exists that AST time isn't very valuable. What do I care about that? Because I could never use all that I ever earned. So I think there's a balance there, right? So if we eliminated and we made it one post-school day, I could probably earn enough AST time in the first quarter to be done. And then what do you do in the rest of the year for data chat night and winter wonderland and all of those events that instructional staff are expected to participate in, because we want to engage with families, but that is uncompensated time. And I think you're going to see, as people's stress level has increased, as their workload demands have increased, more and more people may be saying, yeah, I don't have the ability to attend those things because I'm not being paid to be there. I don't want that reality, because that's not good for kids, and that's not good for us to be able to engage families and plug them into what's happening in our classrooms. But something has to address it. Something has to give. so that people do feel like, their time is being valued and they're not being taken advantage of.
And I think that the effort was there to listen to the need for more time in preschool. When you're going to preschool, you're looking forward to a whole year ahead. Having that extra day gives you the extra time to attend both the meetings that are absolutely necessary. I think the principals only want people to go to meetings that they have to do and they can be efficient. I think we should all streamline and do that. And I think that's much more important and was part of our effort in making the proposal, because I understand your concern about AST time, and that hasn't changed since I was a teacher, right? That's always been a concern. However, on June 2nd, the good news is you get a bit of a break. You might be planning for next year, might be going to some trainings, but someone not using their AST time is going home to spend the summer at home or whatever their summer plan is. So I think preschool is a much more important time to give that time than post-school. And that was part of the reason. So I just wanted to emphasize that we heard the worry of being prepared for the school year, and that was part of the reason for our proposal. Did you guys have any counters, proposals to anything?
No, the thing that we brought was, we are going to continue to emphasize that we prefer to deal with things as single contract items. So advanced degree is a part of our contract. It is not something that's posted to the district website. It's a part of our contract. So the way that we presented it is the way we would prefer to deal with it as its own item, because it will roll into the contract language, not just the compensation posting on the district website. So I think that's what we're supposed to be doing here, is addressing proposals and how they impact contract language. So that's the only one that we have, but it's the same as when we've passed it before. It is a single item issue to address advanced degree.
Okay.
I just wanted to address the one regarding the budget line item, I think.
Meaning you have questions about it?
Yes.
Okay.
So just to reiterate, the budget line item is, no, this isn't the budget line item. I'm sorry, I really can't tell. No, this is the budget line item. It just doesn't have it says the amount allocated for this line item shall equal the 25-26 growth portion. So we're still talking about the $809,000.
Correct.
And whatever we get assigned.
Which currently, because of the size of our unit and the number of people included, gives a $470 raise. That's what would be budgeted in the line item for next year.
Correct. And then whatever the state gives us for growth TSIA money would then be added to that to determine a starting point to have a discussion about increased compensation.
Okay. I'm still concerned. I appreciate that there's an adjustment in the October 1st deadline. It is not that we don't acknowledge the deadline. It is not that we don't want to have things settled by October 1st. That's completely false. We would love to have things settled by October 1st, but in order to make that happen, we have to start discussing compensation sooner than we have. And traditionally, when we've asked about possibilities of discussing compensation in the spring, we can't do that because the budget's not finalized. The budget's not finalized from the state. We don't know how well we're being funded or not, and we can't have those discussions. So this October 1st deadline basically hems us in, because you have no idea if we're going to experience the same thing we did this year, where the budget doesn't get approved in a regular session and needs a special session. No idea. So signing off on that What happens if those things are factors again this year and you don't have a final number by the end of July?
We will have the number we budgeted, and we'll have the TSA amount, and we'll also know what health insurance is going to look like by then. And so health insurance necessitated the need for thinking sometimes in a two-step ratification kind of way. And so I think that just might be a way we have to do it some years. And so I don't think there's a problem with settling TSIA money, settling health insurance, and knowing that always kind of has to happen before October 1st. And then we met 9 times this year. We can meet 9 times again next year if we need to.
I understand that
Yeah.
it might not be a problem for you, but our issue is by us signing off on the 470, there isn't real assurance that we will come back for more discussions beyond the 470. Okay, so until we know what the budget picture is, it's very hard for us to sign this now in February saying that we will have this done by October, because the number of things that have to fall in line that are out of our control doesn't make that a palatable option at all, right? So even if we had the option of 2 days of release time for bargaining, guess who that leaves out? All of these people. You're not releasing them to come watch us, right? We're going to be doing it during the day.
They'll have it on demand.
Sure, but are you saying that they should be watching it while they're teaching? 'Cause
No,
I don't think they should be doing
I'm
that.
just saying,
Right?
Yeah.
So that is concerning for us because their voices and their participation in this process matters. And, you know, this year, I think it's been a lot more meaningful what we're doing here at this table, and a lot higher stakes at the same time because of all the financial pressures that the district is under. All of that has become visible to everybody too. So that's been worth it, right? Because we want them to know, we want our stakeholders to understand that some of these budget issues are not things that are within the school board's control, not things that are within the superintendent's control. We can acknowledge that, but if we are not educating people in the process, and being able to participate increases those opportunities for them to be educated and to understand how some of this can be worked on a little bit together, because some of it is about contacting the people making these decisions about the budget right now in Tallahassee.
yeah. And
I mean, that's happening right now. So without this process, even though none of us wanted to be here, sitting here in February, not, you know, it is concurrently happening right now and shining a light on the fact that we were funded at less last year, and then we lost students on top of that.
right.
All of these people wouldn't have known that if we weren't talking about it here and they weren't part of this process. So I'm hesitant to agree to, we only negotiate during the workday, because I watch other locals do that and they don't get this level of engagement and participation from their members. And that obviously is a huge problem for any union in this state right now.
And we're happy to meet at night and do the day. It's, again, it's our effort to show you, here's what we'll try to do to get it done. We're invested in having these conversations. I think it's actually been good to have these taped, because people can go back and watch them that can't be here, because not everyone can be here. They might have other commitments. And, you know, the important thing is that people are watching and then everyone's communicating, because at the end of the day, it's just us talking here. And although I'm very happy that all these people in their room, they actually can't participate in the discussion right now. So what's important is for them to talk to you afterwards, for them to answer surveys, for them to get additional information. So all that can happen if we need the daytimes, we use them, and we still have evening times too. So it's just, again, it's just an additional step that we're committed to get the communication done in time to meet that deadline, because it's important for several different reasons that I outlined before.
Is there another one that you want to ask questions about.
Hi, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add too. I know there's a lot of, let me take this over here. There's a lot of apprehension about the date certain October deadline, and I completely understand that. But I do liken it to a trial. You know, you have to have a date certain, and so everybody ramps up in order to meet that goal. And I think it shows a good faith effort on everybody's part that you are choosing to pick that day to, you know, comply with the Florida statutes and the legislature. And if things are really out of your control, much like in a court experience, both parties can get together and agree to set back the time if there are legitimate reasons and extenuating circumstances. So I really urge you to consider the October deadline, understanding that the district is completely amendable to extending that deadline if it is truly necessary, but it's important for both parties to put forth a good faith effort into meeting that goal. And that's all I want to say.
I don't think there hasn't been a good faith effort into meeting that goal. I think there's been financial challenges that faced all of us this year that necessitated further conversation because, like, I don't want to keep having to say this, but because one time it was presented that we would come back and talk, and then another time it was presented that 470 is all there is. I mean, we can restart that process and not go down that path next time, but that's how it started this time. So that's what's freshest in people's minds, and it's not just our minds. It's, you know, that trust in the process, I think, has to be built back for everybody here that's been paying attention to it. So, you know, the October 1st deadline has been there. If we were unable to reach agreement, there is a possibility of, I mean, several districts did that. They couldn't reach a deadline by October 1st. They felt very certain that there would be some kind of consequence from the state level for not reaching that agreement, and they declared impasse because there was no agreement, and unions, you know, didn't sign off on TSIA alone. It is difficult for us, and it's difficult for people to follow the negotiations when things are done in piecemeal. We made the exception for insurance because we didn't want to see the insurance rates take effect in January and people are still not experiencing what the district had offered, which is the 710 increase to the board paying that increase to the health insurance. So we made the exception of, yes, moving forward with that and moving forward with ratification, but those deadlines, I mean, collective bargaining is in the Florida Constitution. So making a deadline that interferes or inhibits collective bargaining process, I mean, I understand that that's the state's wish, is that it's done by October 1st. But we also have the right to collective bargaining, and that if that's an interference to the process, then we also need to follow what the Constitution says, the state constitution.
The other thing to consider is that just like we keep mentioning the health insurance, because sometimes I'm hearing you say we do things in parts and pieces, and that's the way we need to do it. And other times I hear you say we can't do things in parts and pieces.
No, I'm saying it's preferable for us to be able to get through negotiating compensation as a whole and then ratify together. We've had to separate out things because it's taken longer to come to an agreement.
Right, but sometimes when you talk about proposals, you say we want to do things in parts and pieces, but then
No.
you don't.
So what I'm talking about with, for example, advanced degree, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The advanced degree proposal, the advanced degree language is a part of our contract. So when we exchange proposals that pertain to a part of our contract, it should focus on that and that section. Instead of having, well, sign off on this and it also includes your, because you're basically, it's like
Your advanced degree coincides with your placement salary schedule because as people are hired, it is a part of where they are placed.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, I do not want the district team to continue to ignore that there are parts of our contract we are here to discuss, right? And that is a part of our contract. It's not just a part of the placement schedule. It's an actual section in the contract that when we do proposals, we should focus on the language surrounding that. That's what I'm talking about with a single issue
But the
regarding
placement-
contract language.
Placement schedule is also part of your contract.
Yes, that is not, but what you've presented is a PDF that goes on the district website so people can look up how much they are paid.
But we also place that in the contract, correct?
Yes.
Not in that format.
I thought you even said that.
It's on the website like that, but it looks a little different in the contract. But the thing is, I guess, too, is the placement schedule is for the new people. We have people right now with advanced degrees who aren't getting paid, who would be, if we would sign the advanced degrees. So we're withholding that from them, but nothing's changing to the placement schedule. And the 470 doesn't affect the placement schedule. So I guess the question is, why is the 470 being held over our head to get advanced degree? Those two things are not connected in any way, shape, or form, because the 470 the placement schedule is not changing at all. So the 470 doesn't belong with the placement schedule. That's my question about
So
it.
it's the 470 in the placement schedule,
Yeah,
not
the placement
advanced
schedule,
degree
I
and the
understand we need to
placement
change the
schedule.
date on the placement schedule because I see how it's presented on the website, and I understand that if I'm looking for a job, I want to know what I'm going to be making on day one. But the 470, saying that we can't do one without the other, because that's what has been said, that shouldn't be because they are not connected. No one walking in tomorrow gets the 470. The people who have been here since August 6th, or what day did we start? August 4th. I write the calendar, as you know. August 4th don't even get the $470 because they're not 2 years. So that's I think what's the stickling me with that, because we have people who have that Juris Doctorate who might have should been receiving that all year, and they're not. And I get it. Someone rolling in, yeah, but what about the people who are already here?
Right.
Those are the people. I like to bargain for, like, we're going to get this 20-year teacher from New England. Still waiting for those people to come in. If anyone has any they want to send, we'll take them because we have positions, right? No, I mean, I would love to get all experienced people.
What I'm referring to is advanced degree section of our contract in Appendix A starts on page 25. It continues on page 26 before we switch to Appendix B. What I'm talking about is when we discuss language that affects advanced degrees, that we would be talking about this part of the contract because there are adjustments to this language. And that would be the way we would prefer to exchange proposals back and forth because that's respectful of our contract and the way that it's laid out. And then you can adjust the PDFs for how people are paid on the website after we actually adjust the language, if we can reach an agreement on that. Similarly, on page 34, that's where we have differentiated pay based on one's position or location. So number 5 under there is where it says differentiated pay for mental health support. And that has been completely, like, the verbiage was completely changed to reflect something else. That's not what our contract says. So
And we
I
discussed
don't.
that, and we took care of it.
So you can post it to the website as a summary, however you want. But we're not signing a proposal that looks like this because that's not what our contract is.
Okay.
We would like
Also,
to sign
too-
it in the manner that it's presented in the contract, and then you can update how it gets posted to the website accordingly.
Also, too, the way that we sign it here is how it's presented to our members for ratification. And if we have a lot in there that is not actually changed language, it's more for them to try to pour over and look at that really has nothing to do with why they're signing a ratification.
So do you guys want to look at the proposals and caucus? Okay. And as we've done the last couple of meetings, the Ken Roston room is all set for you guys.
Okay, thanks. So we went through everything. For the pre and post-school time, I think you kind of know how we feel about that one. I think if maybe the proposal had something, even if we talked about moving days, there has to be some sort of protection in that for teachers to guarantee. Because if you're going to add a day, there would have to be some sort of guarantee that they would get classroom time, because that is why we're all there during preschool week. For the nice long.
Did you have a counter proposal for that?
Not right now, no,
Okay.
because we were just going through all of them. So for this one, I just want to make a comment that, as you guys said, the good faith of October 1st is the good faith. We have always made that good faith. We asked for bargaining dates for this year in April, and the first date we got was May 28th. And then we asked for summer, and I get it, everyone's on vacation. Never will diss anyone for going on vacation. World traveler, love it. The date we had, we were on vacation, and then we couldn't get together till August 18th. Our goal is never to go past October 1st, because we want everyone to get money in pockets. Everyone. If we would have assigned before October 1st this year, it would have been $470 with the hopes of conversation after. And I'm not saying that you wouldn't have done that and that wasn't your intention. I don't mean it like that. But we didn't feel comfortable at that time. Last year, when we went all the way to September 30th at 8 p.m., the original offer was $1,100, and then all of a sudden at 8 p.m., it's like, we have all of this money in this tiered table, and I went from $1,100 to almost $4,000. And to me, that means then why wasn't that brought out sooner? So that maybe we don't go all the way to October 1st. We don't want to go to October 1st either. So we're not signing this.
If you remember, I just want to make sure it's clear for the record that
Absolutely.
that part of the reason that money changed was because we created a tier system, and that's why you got more money, because you've been here longer.
So the original offer from you guys last year, if I'm not mistaken, and I have a pretty decent memory, it was $1,100 flat across the board. By the time we signed that tier table, not one person walked out with less than $1,100. Not even the bottom tier got $1,100. So no, that's not that offer wasn't even. There was a huge difference from the first offer to the last. I mean, even if the bottom tier walked out with $1,100, someone still got $1,100. And when you think about 1,600 people times 1,100, that's this much amount of money. Well, now if all of our 21 pluses are getting 3,600, and our biggest bar is our 21 plus people, that's a lot more money than 1,600 people times $1,100. So there was money somewhere. 1,600, okay, I thought so. 1,600 to 36 or 1,600 to 34?
But that night, we came with proposals.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it was September 30th, right? So like we worked hard too to get to that October 1st deadline. So our resistance to this is not because we don't want to bargain in good faith. It's because we want to be done too. Whether we would love to this year start in April or May, which I know we've talked about. In summer, surprise, I'm only gone for like 3 weeks, so I can bargain over the summer too this year. So like we would love to start those conversations earlier. Not signing this doesn't have anything to do with believing that anyone here doesn't have good faith. We don't think that we've ever not bargained in good faith. And
we also made a counter proposal to that, which would have put us on the path.
Because you had one with
Because we put something in there that we would secure dates to begin those conversations in May of 2026. And we feel like that sets us up to accomplish the same goal of being done by October 1st. But it doesn't limit us to, it has to be signed, it has to be this, and it's literally more of the signal of we acknowledge that there is good faith, and we're trying to move towards, we're just not comfortable with signing it as a deadline because we can't control what your schedules allow for dates. We can't control what our schedules allow for dates. Our proposal was more about the intent to begin it so that we set ourselves up to success to meet that deadline. And that would certainly be our intent, barring other circumstances, that if we are able to start meaningful salary discussions in May, there should be no reason why we can't come to an agreement to satisfy that deadline of October. It's just, it's been difficult because the budget hearing, the first one is not until the end of July. The second one, when it's finalized, isn't until September. So the pattern had been, well, until the budget is really finalized, we don't know what we have to offer. if we're pivoting from that and that's not how we're going to do budgeting in the future, then we should be able to have more meaningful discussions in the spring, and that deadline should be easy to meet as far as we're concerned. It's just, it's difficult to sign that because, you know, what if we're not the ones sitting here? We're signing off on that for somebody else to have to meet that deadline in the future, and that's not responsible to the bargaining unit.
Do you have a counter proposal that proposes the May dates with the budget line item?
We passed that, right?
We that's what we passed the last time.
But I mean, because we started this MOU about the budget line item because of what concern came out of. So do you have a proposal for the budget line amount and a discussion with the May that you're talking about? Because the May was something back in the past you're talking about, right?
Right, but that was the budget line item proposal that we adjusted that language because we were responding to the counter. I'm sorry, we were responding to the initial proposal of ratified
Right.
by both parties by October 1st. So we took that language out and said that we would commit to beginning salary discussions in May of 2026.
Okay. And so technically we countered with moving the October from board approval to tentative agreement.
Right, with this
Okay.
proposal tonight,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Do you have a, can you send
Do
me?
you have an electronic version of it?
Yeah, do you have an electronic version of that? That you can email me?
As for the salary one, we are gonna come back with a counter on this one. We're not ignoring it. There was just a lot of discussion in general, but yes.
Which one?
The one with the 1,000 and the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tonight or in the future?
Hopefully in the very, very near future.
Okay.
Like near, which might as well open your calendars.
Okay.
I'm just like, let's get the party started.
Well, I know that, but they can come back. Because I think it could be as simple as the new teachers, which is something.
Do they want to address the 15.5 and move on? Or?
I went 6 different ways right there.
Sorry.
Is that all that you wanted to talk about from our proposals, and now we're scheduling a date? Is that the plan right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just also wanted to remind that we haven't gotten responses from proposals like summer days for athletic directors or any of those, which we talked about and reminded previously, but we haven't seen any other discussion or counters or even just an answer like, because we still see those things as open.
Duly noted.
I have it, I'm just connecting to the Wi-Fi, so you want me to send it to you? The proposal you asked me to look for, to both of you? Okay.
Second is Monday.
What's that? I agree, yeah. What's that?
I got 2, 3, 11, 12. I can't do the 10th if needed, I just got to reschedule this. I'm on my last one.
I'm okay with the 3rd. Can you guys do the 3rd? I do the 3rd. Okay. But I mean, I can't do the 11th, 12th, so I think you can't do the 2nd or 3rd, right?
I think I could do the 3rd.
Okay. So I think we're thinking the 3rd. Yeah. And we're talking 5:15, obviously.
No other thoughts on our other proposals, though?
The 3rd at 5:15. So and just to clarify, I do have the mic on, okay. There's a plan for you to come back with counters basically to all of these on some level?
Probably not the pre and post school one, because
Because
based on our survey.
We have time to figure that out.
Yeah, we have,
hopefully.
exactly.
Yep.
We have to, it's not a February issue.
Yeah. Without protected time, we're not.
And then,
Well, again,
she sent you guys the digital
you
counter.
can come back and add that to it.
Yeah, okay, she sent you the digital counter.
I
so
understand
look at
that, but
Yeah.
there have been several times in this process where we've been told to counter our own proposal. And like, you could bring that, if you could bring that back with this, or you can bring that back with that. So that's why we're saying we're not interested in that the way that it's presented.
But that is a counter to what you offered. I know you expressed why you didn't like it, but it was still put forth in good faith as something that we would think would give more time at the beginning of the year.
Okay, so then I'm going to ask the direct question. Is the district team no longer going to tell us to counter our own proposals? Because that has happened several times in the past year when we've brought something to the table. Parental leave is one good example. Well, we don't like this, or it needs to be
I don't
tweaked
think
with
we were
that.
asking you to
And
counter the
it was,
proposal.
yes, that is what's been requested.
Okay.
So I know you don't have recordings of those sessions, but that's absolutely what's been requested of us in the past. It is not what we want to do. So if we're saying that we're no longer going to do that, then if we have interest in that proposal, we can bring back a counter.
Okay, thank you.
So you guys have that one, and then we'll have the salary one. We'll have something for what you guys gave us
No,
first.
we're saying if there's interest in,
Yeah,
for
there-
us in that proposal,
Yeah,
we'll bring back
we'll
a
bring a
counter
count,
to
yeah.
that.
We'll bring back a counter of that if there's interest in this. Welcome.
We have a date for next week?
Yeah, oh my God, that is like, this is March, it's almost March. It's 20.
February is too short.
Well,
Thank you.
no.